Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. And today we have a very special topic. Today we're talking about forgiving yourself. I definitely feel like a lot of people owe themselves an apology. The reason why I say you owe yourself an apology because I feel like a lot of people are extremely hard on themselves. They don't see the circumstances they've overcome. They don't see that they've allowed themselves to become even better people. They don't see and acknowledge themselves with anything. Sometimes in life, you have to give yourself a pat on the back. You have to be your biggest fan, but you also have to, your biggest critic, but you also have to be your biggest fan. So when no one is rooting for you, you have to learn how to root for yourself. So for everybody that's on my live and on this podcast today, give yourself a round of applause if you're trying your best to be better than what you are. It is not easy breaking generational curse. Let's acknowledge that. It is not easy. And the reason why it's not easy, because we become so accustomed to certain aspects of our life that we become the aspect of our life. A lot of people don't see that they've become accustomed to everything that they're doing. And they don't see who they are. There's a reason why most people can't see who they are. Because they've normalized the way they see things. Sometimes the most blindest person can see the most, and sometimes the most vividly 20/20 vision person can't see at all. And that's the sad part about life. Sometimes the most blindest person has the best vision, and sometimes people with 20/20 can't see anything. And that's the truth of the matter. Well, today we're talking about forgiving yourself. I'm gonna give you strategies. I've learned to forgive myself. When I was younger, I done a lot of things to myself that I used to regret. And my regrets came out in my conversations. My regrets came out in the way I carried myself. My regrets came out in the way I conducted myself. I had a lot of regrets, right? And my regrets stem from the fact that I said things like this. And we're gonna talk about some of the things you guys we say when we have regrets. One of my regrets or my excuse was, if my dad was in my life, I would have been a better man. I said this very prominently. I said it a lot, to the point where I started believing that was a reasoning why I was losing. Not seeing the poor decision making that I was making, but more so only looking for an excuse to accommodate the poor decision making that I was making. See, when you look for an excuse, right? Ultimately, your mind will make reservation on this excuse. And once you make reservation on the excuse becomes the reasoning for you to believe, and I say this again, for you to believe that you're failing. You've made this reservation in your mind. You allowed yourself to believe that every excuse that you've made has become the reasoning, not looking at oneself. It is easy to tell yourself a lie, right? But we must learn how to forgive ourselves. Let's start talking words of affirmation. Let's start saying better conversations with ourselves. See, a lot of people haven't even looked in the mirror and told themselves that they love themselves. Every morning I wake up, the first thing I do is thank God, and the second thing I do as I'm brushing my teeth, I give myself a good morning. And I have a conversation with myself. Some people will look at that as weird. But I'm going to tell you something. You have to get to know your new self if you're trying to become a new person. If you're working on yourself every day, you got to get to know who you are. A lot of people haven't gotten to know who they are now because they so caught up in who they used to be, the conversations that they used to have. You have to reintroduce your new self to your new self. How you doing? How you been? What is the goal for today? These are conversations you should be having in the mirror. It's called words of affirmation. Allow yourself to have these conversations. Get out your uncomfortableness. It is not weird to have great conversations with yourself because the best conversations in life are the ones you have with oneself. Those are the best conversations. Sometimes you need to speak to yourself. Tell yourself that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the fact that I ain't know any better. Sorry for the fact that I made poor decisions because I thought this was the way of life. When you know that you've made poor decisions, you cannot hold yourself to your old decisions because you're not the same person. You're still yelling at your old self, but you're becoming the new you. I'm going to tell you a story, guys. Stay with me. For all those on live, listen to this story very well. There was once an old man, right? The old man was walking and he ran into a younger guy. The younger guy was about 30 something years old. The old man said to the young guy, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" The younger guy said, "Nothing." So the older man said, "Tomorrow," the younger guy said, rather, I would love to learn something about life. The older man said, "I can teach you a lot about life." The younger guy said, "Like what?" He said, "If you want to know something about life, tomorrow bring a picture of your younger self and we'll meet up and we'll talk." The very next day, the younger guy went to the older guy and he brought the picture, right? And when he saw the older guy, he showed the older guy the picture. The older guy said, "Look at that picture." The older guy said, "How old were you?" The younger guy said, "About 21. The older guy said to the younger guy, "When you look at this picture, what do you see?" The younger guy said, a young person that made a lot of poor decisions, a lot of mistakes, a lot of insecurities when I see this picture. So the older guy said, "Wow." He said, "Now do me a favor. Come walk with me." The younger guy followed the older guy, and then he got to a mirror. And once they got to the mirror, the older guy told the younger guy to look in the mirror. The younger guy looked in the mirror. The older guy then asked him again, "What do you see?" He said, "I see a guy who is paying for all the mistakes that my younger self made." The older guy said, "You know what I see?" He said, "What do you see?" He said, "I see a picture which represents your past, and I see the mirror which represents your present. But the problem is, you so caught up in the picture, you can't see who you becoming today because you're not looking in the mirror. You're still in a time warp. You're still looking at your past." So somebody today needs to wake up and look at that mirror and accept who you are today. And say to yourself that today is my new day to start working on myself. Whatever I've done in the past is the past. The past is the history. Tomorrow's a mystery. But the problem with tomorrow being a mystery, you won't accept the fact that your past was meant for it to happen, so therefore you can be who you are today. The man or woman you're becoming, you have to learn to accept them and embrace them. And also put people around them that challenge them to become their better selves. The older man, as he said to the younger guy, your problem with this generation is too many people are caught up in their past. They live in the past. They can't see how great they can become because they keep talking about what was, what wasn't, and what should have been. But if it was, then it would have been. Understanding life, everything happens for a reason. For those who are on this live right now who grew up without a mother or a father, at the end of the day, it was meant to happen. The reason why your father wasn't in your life because he didn't know how to be a father. But yet and still, we hold this person accountable. Let's break the cycles. Let's not complain about the things we've been through and learn how to break generational curse. Because there's somebody on this live right now who's going to say, "You know what? I didn't grow up with my father. I didn't grow up with my mother, but yet and still they're going to do the same thing to their children." That makes you no better than your father or your mother. Someone has to break the curse. Forgive yourself. Every poor decision you have ever made, allow yourself to understand it was meant for it to happen in order for you to become your better self. You'll never become your better self by lying to yourself and keeping people around you that don't challenge you to be your better self. It's okay. Challenge is normal, right? In order for you to accept yourself, you have to learn to be around people who accept you for you. I don't want to be challenged for who I'm not. I want to be accepted for who I am. And that's the reality of life. We spend more energy looking for people to accept us, and we don't spend no energy on accepting ourselves. It's sad. We look for acceptance from people who haven't still accepted themselves. You're looking for acceptance from people who still haven't accepted themselves. You ask me, how do I know someone hasn't accepted themselves? The reason why is because they sit around talking about others. Let me say that again. You're looking for acceptance from people who still haven't accepted themselves. That says that you're ultimately going around someone insecure. Insecure people tend to sit around and talk about others and their mishaps and their flaws because it makes them feel better about themselves. That's the reality. When someone loves who they're becoming, they don't spend time on talking about others, especially someone's mishaps, someone's flaws, someone's problems. If anything, you pray for that person. right? When you finding your happiness, happy people don't spend time talking about bad about people. An unhappy person does that. But a happy person will never waste time worrying about someone that's not worried about themselves. Sometimes you can love you think you can love somebody into being something they're not. That's a sad false reality. You cannot love someone into being someone they're not. At the end of the day, when a person show you who they are, your job is just to believe it. Forgive yourself. Somebody on my live right now, please tell me ways or something that you need to forgive yourself for. I'm going to start right now. I need to forgive myself, right? For all the trauma I've put myself through. Notice I say I put myself through. There was a lot of poor decisions I made that ultimately added on to my traumas. I allowed myself to believe that I was exempt from life. And the thing about life is the more you tell yourself this, the more you believe it. I'm not special. I can't walk on water. I can't fly. I cannot turn water into wine. But the one thing I can do is outwork the opposition and competition. See, sometimes in life, when you have a bad start, you have to look at yourself and say, I need to get on my high horse and start running harder. You can't get comfortable in a bad situation, right? See, the mind, it's like a dark hole or a black plague, right? Or not a black plague, it's like, it's a plague, right? And you allow it to grow because you fuel it. How do you fuel your plague? You constantly tell yourself excuses. You constantly, it's a mental tug of war with oneself. A lot of people still haven't won this tug of war battle is because they're fighting against all the wrong things. In order to kill your negatives that's in your mind, you got to push more positivity in it. Start cramming more positivity, and you'll see that your mind will become more positive. It is impossible to become positive by constantly engaging in negativity. And this is the realities. Somebody on here, please explain to me something they have done to forgive themselves. Someone said, I forgive myself for trying to change people who don't want to be changed. I had to free myself and forgive myself. And that's a very lot of people's situation, right? I forgive myself for blindly being selfish and ignorant to the friend that she is trying to better me. See, that's the issue. Sometimes when we become so defensive, and I'm going to tell you the truth of the matter is, a lot of times in life, a lot of us grew up defending ourselves, right? So anytime someone said anything bad to us, we always went on a defense. So what happens is this: you get older, you still do the same thing, but you don't learn the difference between someone coming to help you and someone coming to hurt you. And that's the problem. So your whole life, every time someone says something that you don't want to hear, you automatically go on a defense because that was your way of defending yourself for so many years. And a lot of people have indoctrinated their minds into behaving like that to the point that they can't be told anything. And they'll never be able to be told anything because they allowed themselves to believe that I'm the excuse, right? My life is the way because of. When you say my life is the way it is because of, it should end with the word Y-O-U. Let's say this together. My life is the way it is today because of, and I'm going to say myself, me. I want everybody on here to say me. My life is the way it is because of me. The first step to any program is admitting that there's a problem. In order for one to admit that there's a problem, he can change or she can change her life. You cannot change yourself if you cannot admit that you're doing wrong. It is impossible. Me and one of my younger guys was having a conversation, and we were talking about smoking, right? And I love him to the point where no matter what, I have to tell him the truth. Whether he feels uncomfortable or not, I don't care. Because love comes with tough love also. Some people think tough love is always bad, but it's not. Tough love can make you your better self. Tough love can challenge you, right? Tough love will show you that at the end of the day, I'm standing here with you and I'm going to hold you accountable to your poor decisions. That can be tough love, but it's persuaded in today's society as a negative. Tough love is not a negative thing if it's coming from the right person. Right? So when you have these conversations, you listen to yourself and you allow yourself to believe that something is not off with you. But again, my young guy, we were talking about smoking, and I asked him something. I said, look at this narrative. Guys, stay with me. Watch this. If a person is taking Tylenol, right, or Advil or Excedrin, right, The whole objective is to mask pain, right? Because the drug was created to mask pain, right? So if a person is drinking alcohol, right, which could be a luxury once in a while of doing it, but people have made drinking a lifestyle as well as smoking, right? A person cannot become their better self getting high all the time because that's clearly something that they're using to escape reality. How can you fix reality when you're always trying to escape reality? It is impossible. When one doesn't live in reality, that means the mind will ultimately create its own universe. And as the mind creates its own universe, the person starts believing whatever they want, right? Because you are the dictator in your mind. And in your mind, as long as you keep allowing yourself to believe the false documents that you've created in your mind will never get to the next levels. Because you have indoctrinated your mind into believing something. That's how strong the mind is. How many people on my live right now know somebody right now by the raise of a hand that walk around here every day that you know is broke, but they act like they rich? We all know someone like that. For my people on my live, let me get an amen if you know somebody like that. Let me get an amen, my live, my YouTubers, my TikTokers, my Instagrammers. Let me get an amen. We all know someone like that. And the sad part is, the more you tell them that they're broke, the more they won't believe you. And I'm going to tell you why. This person has allowed themselves to make the reservation that they are already successful. This is why they'll never be successful, because they already believe they are. Why would someone work hard when they already think they're somewhere they're not? I'm going to tell you something, and this is my truth. For my people on here who want to become better selves, the reason why most people are losing, right? And this is the truth. The reason is because most people celebrate nothing. And listen to this narrative. They go out, pop bottles for no reason. They go to shopping for no reason. They take trips for no reason. Listen, in life, if you want to accomplish things, you got to reward yourself after you do things. If you keep rewarding yourself for doing nothing, you're going to continue to do nothing. Let me say that one more time. In life, if you want to accomplish things, you have to learn how to reward yourself after you accomplish things. The problem is everyone is celebrating nothing. They buy themselves clothes, shoes, travel, cars. They go into clubs. They do things on the regular after achieving absolutely nothing. So what happens is the mind will continue to celebrate failure and ultimately pretend as if it's successful when it's never becoming successful because the mind hasn't done anything. But you've told it it has. That's called reality versus your illusion. The illusion that one creates in their minds. The illusion that one creates in society to believe that there's something they're not. It's like a magician. Are you really doing magic? Are you creating an illusion that makes it look like you just did something? Because why? To the regular eye, you just did something amazing, but in reality, you did absolutely nothing. That's the reality. We live in a very illusional world. A lot of people are very illusional, and they believe the madness that they've told their mind so long. As long as you keep telling your mind the falsified documents, the mind will start subscribing to it. We have something called followers and subscriptions. Let's make a subscription today to become our better selves, right? Let's make a subscription today on allowing ourselves to forgive what we've done to ourselves in the past. Because today we start in a new chapter. And this chapter is called reality. Today we start in a new chapter in our books called Life, right? The title of our book is called Your Name, Life. Me, I'm happy to be Q the Boss. My book is called Q the Boss Life. I'm starting a new chapter today. And this new chapter is called reality. No more lying to myself, right? Let's be honest. If you know that there are things wrong with you, why would you keep allowing yourself to accept the things that's wrong with you? You need help. You need help. You may need to be challenged. And there's nothing wrong with that, as I said before. There's nothing wrong with being challenged. The problem is when the mind won't embrace the challenge. Then there's a problem. We're fearful, right? Why are we fearful? Because anything that's unconscious or abnormal, we demonize it, right? It's not normal. It's not normal because you have never allowed your mind to believe that it's normal. Becoming successful is not normal because you told yourself that it's not normal. So therefore, it won't be normal. When you look at what successful people are doing and you mirror it, meaning you're doing or repeating it, you will ultimately meet some kind of success. My whole concept that Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast is not to be in competition with each other. It's us working on becoming our better selves. That's the reality. Let's work on becoming our better selves, right? Let's stop allowing ourselves to not forgive ourselves for the poor decisions we've made, right? One day a guy said to me, what makes you so prominent? I said, check the score. I'm running numbers up in reality, in life, because I started living in reality and in life. The more I lied to myself, I used to put cars around myself. I used to buy myself nothing but material things. I had all the nice clothes, all the nice shoes. And the problem is I never, ever accomplished anything. But in my mind, I was doing so much because I kept lying to myself. But I forgive myself today for wasting tons of money. I wasted tons and tons and tons of money. I forgive myself today for not having these conversations and allowing myself to go around better energy because I knew I was a better person. But I also understand that if I'm not challenged, I'm not going to become my better self. I forgive myself today for the fact that I wasn't the best dad growing up when I was younger because I didn't know how. I forgive myself today for making all the excuses that I used to make myself feel better about my poor decisions. I forgive myself. And I'm not going to sit here no more and not tell myself the truth. Because in order to love yourself, you have to accept your truth. You can fix what you can see. You cannot fix what you cannot see. It's like having glasses on, right? If I give you the wrong prescription glasses, will you be able to see? Yeah, you got on glasses, but the prescription is wrong. So I think everybody on this live need to prescribe themselves something called forgiveness. Let's subscribe ourselves something called forgiveness, right? Let's get rid of regret. A lot of people regret themselves. A lot of people are mad at themselves because you know why? They're looking at that past. And there's nothing wrong with the past unless you embrace it and accept it. But the only problem with living in the past, you'll never see how great your future can become because you're too far in the past. We must understand that the past happened for a reason, right? Let's move forward. Let's learn to love ourselves. Let's stop pointing the finger at people and blaming your neighborhoods and blaming your mothers. I'm going to tell you something. The weirdest thing I think I've ever heard in my life is a grown person still blaming their mother and father. Meanwhile, they're not doing anything to help their children out. You're blaming your parents for not teaching you financial literacy, but yet and still you're not teaching your children financial literacy. Shame on you. You're sitting here every day blaming your parents for not teaching you financial literacy, but yet and still you're not teaching your children financial literacy. Boy, what a hypocrite you are. Boy, what a hypocrite you are. But again, in order to change your family's trajectory in their life, you have to maybe be the one. You may have to be the Neo in the Matrix. You may have to be the curse breaker, but embrace it. There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes the most challenging person is the one who's come to break curse. And you're getting the challenges because of the fact that you're here to break the curse. You're here to break the curse of your family not having no unity. We're not talking about just economically, right? We're talking about the fact that your family has no unity, right? Your family can't even come together and celebrate a holiday together without arguing and fighting. But I'm going to tell y'all something on this live today. Blood makes you related. Love, respect, honor makes you family. Let me say that one more time. There's a big difference. Blood makes you related to somebody, but family is what you create. The best thing about being an adult is you should be putting people around you that is challenging you to be your better self. Family. Someone needs to break the curse where there are people on my live right now who's never sat down with a family and ate dinner together. Let's break that curse. Let's bring back the households where people sit down and say things like, how was your day? How was your day? As simple as that may be, How was your day? Let's bring that back. But we're going to complain about what society's standard is by not understanding that we need to break some of these nasty modes. But we're going to indoctrinate ourselves into these same nasty precedents in life and ultimately get the poor results. A mind is poor before it is actually poor. A poor person has a poor mentality before they have poor results. I've met some of the most wealthiest people who don't have absolutely anything as far as materialism. But they're some of the most happiest people I've ever met in my life. Because we overvalue things. We don't value that we have life. We don't value that we can call our mother. We don't value that we can call our fathers. We don't value that we have people that's in our corner. We don't value none of these things. The things we value are the things of no substance. Let me say that again. The problem in life is we don't value the things that matter. We overly value the economics. Everything in today's standard is money. A man is measured based on how much money he spends on a woman, but not how much respect he gives her, but not about how honesty he is, not about how great of a father he is, not about how much he's willing to give his God his glory. A God-fearing man to me or a woman is ultimately some of the best people I've ever met in my life. When a person fears God, they tend to make different decisions. These are the things that matter more. Because there's a lot of people that need to understand today that you will not take your money with you to your grave. Money could never be a God, but we've made it a God. We made Birkin bags and Louis Vuitton and Gucci the precedent of success. What about if you grew up in a broken home and you married to a person and y'all raising y'all kids together? I think you're more richer than ever. Let me say that again. What about if you grew up in a broken home and you and your wife or you and your husband has been working together to feed your family and take care of your family? No, y'all not rich, but y'all definitely richer because the success rate is higher in a child that comes from two parents. Let's learn the things that matter. Let's have the conversations that matter. No more sitting back having these nasty conversations, not seeing the things that don't matter. Money is a tool, right? It's a tool that can provide you financial freedom. But money should never be your God. The moment you start praising money is the moment you start losing yourself. Because again, I've never heard, I heard stories about the richest man not making it to the heavens. And understanding these conversations. This is the problem we have today. A lot of people don't want to speak on the things that matter. Somebody on my live, please tell me something you're going to forgive yourself for. Right, there's tons of things I could actually say I can forgive myself for, right? And the reason why I can forgive myself, because I honestly can say I didn't know any better. It's bad that someone on this live knows better, but they're going to do the same wrong things. Somebody on this live know better, but they're going to make the same poor decisions. And then you know what they're going to do? They're going to blame everybody other than themselves. Ladies and gentlemen on my live today, please understand that you have more power than you give yourself. You are the driving force to your life. You are the decision maker. If there is negative in your life, it's because you allow it in your life. If you have people in your life hating on you, it's because you give them access. If you're having problems in your life, it's because of how you look at the problem. Sometimes you look at a problem, you should be looking at a problem as an experience for you to go through. Problems are meant to happen in life to challenge you to become your better self. No one on this world that walks earth don't have problems, but it's how you look at it, right? Look at a problem from a positive standpoint. Look at it like this. At the end of the day, it's making me my better self. Because if I can get through this, I can see how more strong I am, right? This is what we don't have conversations about. Every time I look on social media, all I see is men against women, women against men. I see all the things that don't matter. I don't see things telling us let's be our better selves as far as raising our children up. I don't see these things talking about let's reprocreate the mentality of marriage. I don't see these things. I see men against women and women against men. That is the most prominent thing. And the sad part about it is whoever's creating and pushing this narrative will ultimately have to answer to God, because God wants us to procreate and love each other. God don't want me beefing with his daughter, which is you women. God don't want you sisters beefing with his sons, which is the men. That's not God what God want. But yet and still we're gonna push this narrative because there's somebody winning off this narrative. Every time you see an agenda, you have to understand why. What is the agenda for? Ladies, money don't make you a masculine. Money makes you a provider, right? And being in a position where you can provide more is only more money for the family. If you are really in a relationship and you guys are two, money shouldn't be the determining factor to who's the alpha or who's not. I know some women who don't make the money like their men, but they're better leaders than their men. Some men gonna hate the truth. You have to know who you are, right? Let's forgive ourselves for hurting some of the people that we've hurted. I'm gonna say this on my live, and I'm comfortable gonna say this. Anybody that has done any wrong by somebody, I want you to admit your wrongs. To any lady, any woman that I have manipulated in my past, and I've said things like, I care about you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, knowing that wasn't my intent, I want to tell you that I'm sorry. And the reason why I'm sorry is because my insecurities led me to lie to you to ultimately make me feel better about me. That was my mission. That was my goal, and that's all I cared about. In 2023, I'm so comfortable in my skin that I can say this because of the fact that that is no longer my objective. That is no longer my mentality. So therefore, I'm getting better results because I'm telling myself the truth. I will not take advantage of a woman ultimately to make myself feel better about me anymore. I refuse to. And the reason why I refuse to do it because I know there's action behind every action, there's a reaction. Behind everything you do, there's a consequence. Some people are in bad situations because they're reaping their consequences of the poor decisions that they've made. Everybody that's suffering ain't meant to be saved. Some people put themselves in that position. And it's the truth. Let's allow each other to understand that we need each other. Let's build on each other. Let's encourage each other. I forgive myself. Forgiving myself, being loved by friends when I don't love myself. And I respect that, Gabriel. I respect that. We need to love ourselves. And how do we start loving ourselves? We start putting people around ourselves that want the best for us. If you love yourself, you just want to be around people and things and go places that only want the best for you. And that's the reality. People ask me every day, yo, why I don't have access to you anymore? And I said, because of the fact that I'm no longer entertaining the foolish conversations. I've lost people in my life along my journey that I love dearly, but I've noticed that they don't want to change. I've forgiven myself, and I'm no longer going to keep making the poor decisions that you're making. Right? If that's what makes you feel better about yourself, so be it. I just don't want no love lost because of the fact that I don't want to be around it. I am literally watching some people kill themselves by making poor decisions every single day. And I'm watching it. And I would rather see it from a distance than see it head on, face to face every day. Because it hurts you more to watch someone you care for continuously make poor decisions. See, when you become successful and you start doing better, everyone automatically assumes that you're just happy. Money doesn't make you happy. That's what people don't understand. A broke mind only thinks like that. Notice the highest suicide rate is in successful people because money don't make you happy. But we still think that all my problems go away if I get money. So what about all your traumas? What about the fact that you don't trust men? What about the fact that you don't trust women? That don't go away when you get money. What about the fact that you've been molested or sodomized as a child? That don't go away when you get money. That's still traumas. We can keep going on things that don't go away when you start making money. Money just pays bills. Money just allows you to have stability. But yet and still, your life will still be the problems that you have on a higher note. It's just the truth. Money's not going to change it. The only way we can change it if we start working on ourselves. Be your better self so therefore money won't even entertain or you won't even care about it to the magnitude of most people. Listen, let's start forgiving ourselves and start learning that you are every decision you make. How do you fix what you can't see. That is the same for the whole 2023. Let me say that one more time. How do you fix what you can't see? Because glasses can't fix the visual problems of what's wrong with you. The only thing that could be prescribed for you to fix the problem is yourself. That's the reality. You have to subscribe and prescribe yourself a subscription of changing oneself, right? You got to allow yourself to leave your past in the past. I get it. Things happen. You've made poor decisions. Who hasn't? If you haven't made a poor decision in life, that means you haven't been living. And that's the truth. How would you ever do better or become better by not being around things that want better for you? See, we isolate ourselves. Let me say this. Hold on 1 second. We isolate ourselves. And we think by isolating ourselves, we're doing better. Let me tell y'all something. Humans need humans. It's scientifically proven that humans need humans. If humans isolate themselves, they can psychologically go crazy, mentally crazy, because you need humans. There was a movie, right? It was a guy by the name of, what was the white guy name? His name was, he was on an island. He took the coconut, he made it a person. He started talking to it. Castaway? Castaway, what's the guy name? Tom Hanks, right? It showed how Tom Hanks was going crazy because of the fact that he needed a human to allow himself to stay sane. By not having conversations, humans, I'm saying this to all my humans, you think you're strong because of the fact that you don't allow yourself to express what you're going through. I truly believe now and understand the strongest person is the person that expressed themselves. Those are the strongest people because it takes strength for you to allow yourself to be vulnerable. It takes strength for you to speak your truth. It takes strength for you to say what's wrong with you and not feel away. Because I'm going to tell you something. It is so much easier to fix the problem when one could have and acknowledge the problem. It is so hard to express the problem when a person is not allowing themselves to tell themselves the truth. Stop lying to ourselves, guys, and let's start working on ourselves. In order to be your greatest self, you have to allow yourself to become your greatest self. Ladies and gentlemen, on my live today, you will never, and I say this wholeheartedly, you will never become your better self by not challenging yourself to become your better self. But again, it starts with the first step. The first step is admitting that one has a problem. The second step, quotes, the second step is allowing yourself to tell yourself the truth. You got to have these conversations with yourself. The power of forgiveness, right? Not even just yourself. You got to be able to forgive people that may have done you wrong. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does, and I say this a lot big, it does enlarge the future. That is the power of forgiveness. Let me say this one more time. Forgiveness does not fix the past. One more time. Forgiveness does not fix the past, but it does enhance, brighten, and allow your future to be bigger. And that's the truth. Some of us don't understand that because they're not willing to forgive themselves. You're still mad at your 30-year-old self and still mad at your 16-year-old self. I had a woman tell me the other day she had a son at 16 and now she's about 36. And I'm like, listen, that's over 20 years ago. You got to let that go. Right? Everything in life happens for a reason. But you wouldn't have the strength today to say no if you never said yes back then. Let me say that again. You will not have the strength today to say no if you didn't say yes back then. And that's the truth. A lot of us, tell them on my station. A lot of us need to understand that your conversations today can start allowing you to become your better self tomorrow. But if you don't understand that, you're going to continuously have the same issues. I get it. You've done wrong. I get it. We all sinners. I get it. You messed up. I get it. You made bad choices. I get it. You may even regret the person you've had a child with. But I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to hear this good. To any man and to any woman that says that they regret who they had a kid with, they ultimately regret their child. And the reason why is because if you took that father's DNA from that child, your child will no longer be the same person. Let me say that one more time. To my men and to my women on my live that complain about the person they've had a child with, right? If you keep complaining about the person you've had a child with, right, and you regret the person you had the child with, you ultimately saying you regret your child. Because no matter how you look at it, your child is your child because of the DNA that they possess. Your father and the mother. It takes an egg and it takes a semen to make a child. So that's two. Your child is who he is or who she is because of both parents, regardless of whatever it is. Genetics don't lie. So let's stop saying I regret who I've had my children with. Let's stop talking like that, right? Let's say things, that was good for the chapter in my life. I needed that because I got my biggest blessing, which is my child, right? I got my child. Let's run these like subs, guys. Let's share these lives. Let's share this live. Let's share this live. Right? But we got to work on forgiving ourselves. There's a lot of things. I want somebody on here to tell me something they need to forgive themselves. Everyone makes mistakes and bad choices at some point in their life. They do. That's what makes us human. And accepting that you're human is everything in life, right? Human. We're all human. No one is perfect. Anyone that sits on this live and portray perfection, something is wrong with them. I'm human. I've made poor choices. I used to be the person saying, I wish I never had a kid. I used to talk like that. Ultimately saying to myself, I regret my child. Because my child wouldn't be my child if I didn't have it with that person. I don't say those things anymore. I say it was a blessing. God doesn't make any mistakes. We do. Right? Blessing is my lessons. The blessing is always in the lesson. We must learn that everything happens in the way it is meant to be, right? No more pointing the finger at the past. Forgive yourself, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to forgive yourselves. Somebody on my live right now, let me get at least 10 people or 20 people. Matter of fact, 20 people to say, I forgive myself. We're going to count these things. Let me get 10 people that say I forgive myself. In fact, 15 people. I'm number one. Chris said he forgives himself. Chris said that? That's number two. Kenny said he forgives himself. I'm saying the name. Sean said I forgive myself. It's going a little fast. Gabriel said he forgives himself. Smith said he forgives himself. High Queen said she forgives herself. Everyone is saying they forgive themselves. Shanice says she forgives herself. We got to forgive ourselves. Stop holding yourself to what you used to do. Because when you really look back at it, you really didn't know any better, right? And it's like you oppressing yourself from something you didn't know no better on. And it's the truth. I genuinely doubt anyone that's been through something, if they're still making the same poor decision, that means they wanted to go through that. If you've learned from the mistake, that means it was meant for you to go through it so you could never make those mistakes again. But if you don't learn from the mistake, that means you wanted to go through it and you're going to continuously put yourself through it because that's what you want to go through. But when you learn from it, it's like, yo, I don't want to go through this ever again. And that's the truth. Guys, let's forgive ourselves. Stop holding ourselves to this oppressed mentality. Because sometimes the biggest door in your life, right? The biggest door, right? I want you to hear this really well, right? Stay with me. The biggest door in your life that's preventing you from winning is the one that unlocks your mind. And the sad part about that door that unlocks your mind is the door that would allow you to go to success. But you want to know what the key is for that door? And I'm going to say this to everybody on this live today. They need to hear this. That key is you. You the key. In order for you to unlock that door, you got to understand that you're the key. Access will not be granted unless you accept that you need to open that door. Open your mind. Allow yourself to believe that you're able to fly again. Allow yourself to believe that you can be great. Malisha, what up? How you doing? You know what I'm saying? But allow yourself to believe that you're capable of doing anything. But the problem is we ain't going to do that. You know what we're going to say? We're going to say, it could have been, it should have been, if my dad, my mom. Come on, man. Enough of those excuses. Right? Everyone in life is not to be a millionaire. Right? But the one thing you must understand is life is not only about becoming rich and famous. Life is about finding happiness and ultimately being around people that love you for you. I think that is the wealthiest person. When everybody that's around you have no agenda but try to push you to be your better self. That's when you're your best self. You can have $1 million in your bank account and be depressed. Because that money's not going to stop. You losing your mother. You losing your dad. You going through regular life. It's not going to stop it. Right? It's a currency. But the real currency, you should be investing in yourself. Because you're more valuable than a diamond. You're more valuable than anything else. But yet and still, you don't even believe it. You don't believe that you're valuable. You don't see that you're valuable. And you won't see that you're valuable because of the fact that you're around people that tell you you're not valuable. Every human on earth has a value. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Everyone has value. You cannot look me in my face and tell me a human don't have value. Some people just don't know their value because they don't love themselves. And the reason why they don't love themselves because they've been around people for many, many years that never told them how to love themselves and how to respect themselves and how to treat themselves. Right? Start wanting the best for yourself. I'm sitting on this live right now telling you I want the best for everybody. And I'm not talking about just economically. I'm talking about just finding peace. Right? Make peace with your old self. Go look in that mirror or go look at that picture of your younger self, right? And go have that conversation with that young girl or that young boy. And said, I understand what you've been through because you're the only person that knows everything you've been through. Nobody knows your story more than you. Go take that picture of your younger self, right? And have that conversation with your younger self. And tell your younger self, I forgive you. I understand. I was able to do that. I looked at my younger picture and I had that conversation with that young man. I said, I understand you was insecure. I understand these things about you, youngster. But I just want you to know, I forgive you. And I love you. I've made peace with my younger self. Some of y'all need to make peace with your younger selves. Y'all need to make peace with your poor decisions. I need to make peace with all the things you've done in your life. Because in life, living with regret is the worst thing you can do. It's like living a nightmare every single day. Let me say that one more time. Living with regret is like a dream as a nightmare every single day and reliving it every single day. You got to forgive yourself. You got to tell yourself, you know what, youngster, I understand what you've done. And I will never put myself through these things again. But I'm happy I went through these things because it gives me a stronger testimony. And the truth of the matter is in life, testimony can save others. Sometimes you may have to tell your testimony. You got to stop being ashamed because there's somebody here today that needs to hear that you're going through the same, if not worse than them. Because the problem with us is we make our problems bigger than everybody else's. But I'm going to tell you on record, ain't no problem bigger than God. None that he can't fix. But again, understand that you possess the key to change your mentality. You possess the key to stop waking up every day mad at life. You're angry, you're bitter, you're scorned. I get it. I understand you've been through things, right? That's why some people are so aggressive. That's why some people are so angry, right? I can smile at some people and I can tell they don't even like to see someone smiling. There are people who wake up every day not liking seeing people happy. People there? People there? People there? There, bro. Yeah. There are people every day that wake up every day and not see that they're unhappy. Every day they wake up mad, bitter, depressed, sad, angry. I'm gonna tell you something about those words: fear, angry, pain. Right? These are things that are all negatives. And the more energy you give to these things, the stronger they will have a hold over your life. Some people have allowed life to have such a strong hold on them that they can't fix themselves. Right? And the reason being is because of the fact that they haven't seen that they're the problem. Some of the people that, some people that complain about some of the men out here and some of the women out here is some people are attracted to trauma. Some people are attracted to drama. They're attracted to it, right? Like flies that like, you know what? They're attracted to it. And that's humans. Some people like drama. That's all they care for. Some people like trauma. That's all they look for. They look for things that they want to fix and put together and try to help things to come together. I'm going to tell you something. A woman asked me the other day, right? Someone just said, what you're attracted to becomes you. I agree 100%. That's 99.9% fact. Someone said to me the other day, what should I look for when I'm looking for a mate? Right? I said, you want to hear the truth, what you should be looking for when you're looking for a mate? The person said, yes. I said, you should be looking for a person that's better off working on being their better self. Every day they're inspiring to be their better self. I said, stop looking for perfection because it doesn't exist. Stop looking for completion because humans are naturally not ever meant to be complete. You're supposed to continuously work on yourself because we're always striving for our better selves. No one is perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. So every day is a journey on working on becoming your better self. To me, that's what you should be looking for. Someone that wants to become their better self, not verbally, but with actions. Right? I can respect a person that every day gets up and they could work the most cheesiest job, but they still work hard. I'm gonna tell you something about life. As a kid, my mother said, no matter what job you do, always take the job serious. I said, why? She said, because you build something called work ethic. And with your work ethic, everywhere through life, you'll always carry the work ethic. Every job that I've ever had in my life, I've taken serious, right? And the reason why I've taken it serious because of the fact that it ultimately becomes your character. The more you build these rapport with yourself, the stronger your character will become. Some people haven't invested in themselves. Guys, let's open up these books, right? Let's peel back the layers of the anger that's in our lives. Let's peel back the layers, right? We're like an onion. The more you peel it, the more you start to do what? As you peel in the onion, you start to cry, right? Ultimately, eventually, the onion will go into what it needs to be going into, so therefore you can get over the crying of the onion, right? You have to allow it. You have to go through those stages where the pain is hurting in order for you to fix the traumas and the pains that you've been through. Stop kicking it under the rug. Stop acting like it don't exist. The strongest people are not the ones who hide their problems. The strongest people are the ones who acknowledge and talk about their problems. Those are the strongest people. So let's say that again. The strongest people are the ones who don't hide their problems. They're transparent to their problems, and they actually help others get over the same problems. I'm going to tell you something, and this is my truth. I'm going to forgive myself. And I'm not going to cry about what I did in the past because I'm going to tell you something. Today, I pledge, and I hope somebody else on there, let me see my people raise your hand. I want y'all to say this with me, guys. You don't have to write it, but I want you to say this with me. Today, I pledge to be my better self. No matter what life has in store, I'm going to continue to work on becoming my better self. Yesterday, I may have made a poor choice, but today I am no longer that person. I've done things that I regret, things that I'm ashamed of, and things I wish I could take back. But until I accept that I've done it, I could never get over it. Today I decided to get over it. I'm not going to look at myself with disgust. I'm not going to look at myself with hate. I'm not going to look at another person and say that they're better than me, right? Because everything that's created in earth is created in God's likeness. There is no such thing as ugly. Everyone is beautiful, right? It's the truth. You may or may not be attractive to somebody, but everything is beautiful because it's God's creation. Today, let's work on becoming our better selves. No more complaining about what happened before. Because I'm going to tell you something. That is what's stopping you from seeing today. You overly indulging on yesterday. Stop living in the past. Start planning your futures. Start preparing yourself for tomorrows. Start preparing yourself for next month. Start preparing yourself for the future. I'm going to tell you guys this. They say birds of a feather flock together. They say you are the company you keep. And lastly, they say, show me your friends and I tell you who you are. If you want me to see who you are, let me see who you hang out with. I'll tell you who you are. And that's the truth. I'm going to say that one more time. They say birds of a feather flock together. Show me your company and I tell you who you are. You are judged by the company you keep. You want to become your better self? Start changing your environments. And ultimately, you'll start changing your results. Guys, on my live, before I get out of here today, I just want you to understand this. Forgive yourself. Stop being mad at what you did in the past. Because the past is like a Band-Aid or a wound. If you keep peeling the scab, eventually it will bleed. Stop picking at the scabs called the past, right? No more doing that. Love yourself, right? Respect yourself. Believe in yourself. And know that everything in life happens for a reason, right? Some things in life don't make sense to us at the moment. But long term, you'll see that it was meant to happen. Trust me. Just embrace the challenge. No more complaining about yesterday. Till next time, guys. Don't let that go over your head.